Hi, this is Miss Reiner, and today we're talking about the gas laws. This lesson is actually just going to be completely conceptual. There are normally calculations with gas laws, but we're not going to get into those today. So just to put this into perspective, gas is all around us, right? It is matter because it has mass and it takes up space. So one thing about gases, which is the third state of matter, they like to spread out as much as possible. So if you think about a balloon, if you pop the balloon, those gas molecules aren't going to stay where they're at. They're going to want to spread out from each other. So kind of think about that as we're going through this lesson. So there are three variables that affect how gases behave. So the first variable we're going to talk about is pressure. What pressure actually means is how often the gas molecules collide with the sides of their container. So the more they're hitting the sides of the container, the pressure is higher. The less they're hitting the sides of the container, then the pressure is lower. Some common units for pressure is ATM, which stands for atmospheres. mmHg is millimeters of mercury. kPa is kilopascals. PSI is pounds per square inch. We use that a lot if you fill up car tires and bike tires. So those are just some units. You don't have to memorize them or anything. Temperature is another thing that affects how a gas behaves. So what temperature actually is, it measures the kinetic energy, which is how fast the particles are going. So a higher temperature means the particles are moving faster. Lower temperature, the particles are moving slower. Now, when we talk about gas laws and do gas law calculations, we're always going to use temperature in Kelvin. We've talked about Kelvin before. What's so special about it is that Kelvin does not go below 0. Okay, so if we were using Fahrenheit or Celsius and we had a negative temperature, that would result in a negative pressure, which doesn't really make sense. You can't have a negative pressure. And the third variable we're going to talk about is volume, how much space a gas occupies. And just like we've been using volume before, the units are liters or milliliters. Okay, so there are three basic gas laws we're going to talk about. I'm not actually going to mention any of them by name. Some teachers really want you to know the names: Charles, Gay-Lussac, Boyle's law. To me, it doesn't really matter. What matters is if you understand what the law is stating. Okay, so with these three variables, we're always going to be holding one of them constant. So for example, if P is not changing, then we're talking about how our temperature and volume related. Or if temperature is not changing, our pressure and volume related. So we're only ever looking at two variables at a time. So let's get started. How does temperature affect volume? Okay, so I'm going to show you a video of liquid nitrogen being poured on a balloon. Unfortunately, I don't think you can hear the audio on this, but you can kind of hear a crinkling sound. So liquid nitrogen, if you didn't know, is a liquid that exists at negative 320 degrees Fahrenheit. That's very, very cold. So if you were to touch this with your hand, it would immediately burn you. If you didn't know, you can get burned from dry ice. It's a really cold burn. Okay, so liquid nitrogen is cold. So what's happening here to our variables is temperature is dropping. Okay, so as the temperature drops, that means the particles, the gas molecules inside the balloon, are not moving as much. If they're not moving as much, they're not going to take up as much space. Therefore, the volume of this balloon gets smaller. So because temperature and volume both did the same thing, we call that a direct relationship. So let's do another example with this. What happens to a hot air balloon when you start to fill it? So if you didn't know how hot air balloons work, is you have this flame. I'm sure there's a fancy name for it, but I'm not sure what it is. So you have to turn on this flame in order to start filling the balloon with hot air. So the temperature of the gas is being increased. So if the temperature is going up, meaning if the gas molecules are going to be moving a lot faster, they're going to want to spread out from each other. So the volume will also go up, and it's a direct relationship, so they should do the same thing. So as those gas molecules spread out in the balloon, the air becomes less dense than like cold air. So the balloon is able to float because it is less dense than the air around it. All right. Next gas law we're going to talk about. How does pressure affect volume? So we got some peeps in this case. Wish you could hear this music because it's pretty fun. It's pretty sweet. I'm going to leave it at that point so we can talk about it. Okay, so in this scenario, he created a vacuum. So what that means is you're pulling air out of this container or chamber. So as you're pulling air out, there's less air left inside. So with there being less air, the air is not going to bump into the sides of the container as often, which means the pressure of the air inside the container is going to decrease. So what happens is, as there's less pressure pushing on the peeps, aka the marshmallows, the volume of the gas inside of the peeps, because marshmallow is just a lot of air, the volume is going to increase because there's less gas pushing on it. So because these two did opposite things, this is called an indirect relationship. So let's look at another example. What happens to the air inside your lungs if you quickly dive below water, let's say while scuba diving? So as you go below water, the further you go or the deeper you go, the water is pushing against you and everything in your body. So there is a higher amount of pressure on your body, on your lungs, whatever air is inside of you. Okay, so the more pressure on your body, on your lungs, it causes the gas molecules inside of you and inside your lungs, causes the volume of that gas to decrease. So it's kind of like your lungs shrivel up just a little bit, so it might be harder to breathe. That's why scuba divers carry the oxygen tanks with them. There is also another medical condition you can get while diving, and that's called the bends. So if you come back up to the surface too quickly, then what happens is there's these gas molecules that are coming out of your blood, and instead of going out through the lungs, they're trapped in your blood, and it causes headaches. It can cause paralysis, which means you can't really move. It can even cause death. So it's very dangerous. So scuba divers have to slowly come back up to the surface, or else they can have all these problems. Okay, let's do our last one. How does temperature affect pressure? So this is called egg in a bottle. We all love the old buffering. Okay, lit a piece of paper, put an egg on top. Oh. Oh man. Come on, internet. Okay, well if it decides to play, oh there it goes. Wow. That is so fun. All right, I'm going to go back right here to this point. Okay, so the first thing he did was he lit a piece of paper on fire. He threw the paper in the flask. What you'll notice as the fire goes out, okay, so there's probably some oxygen being consumed, so it's going away. But when the flame goes out, the temperature inside the flask is going to start to decrease. Okay, so the particles, gas molecules, are not moving as much. So if they're not moving as much, then they are not hitting the sides of the container as often, which makes the pressure go down. Okay, so this still doesn't explain to us why did the egg get sucked in the bottle. A lot of people assume it gets sucked in. Well, it has to do with something called equilibrium. Okay, so the world around us is always trying to get equal. Okay, so if you have something that's hot and something that's cold, they want to be the same temperature, right? So the cold thing wants to be heated up, the hot thing wants to be cooled down. The same thing happens with pressure. So the air around us exerts a normal pressure of 1 atmosphere. So all around this flask is 1 atmosphere. Well, when the pressure inside this flask goes down, let's say it's only 0.8 atmospheres, the outside pressure is like, hey, that's not fair. I want to be less. So the outside pressure pushes the egg into the bottle so that the outside air can get inside the bottle to equalize that pressure. If this was a closed off container and that outside air wasn't able to get in, what would happen is it would actually crush that container. So if you've ever seen the can crush experiment, that's the same situation. The inside pressure is less, so the outside pressure pushes it in. And so this would be a direct relationship. So if P goes down, T goes down, vice versa. One last example with this. What would happen to an aerosol can? Aerosol can meaning hairspray, spray paint, air freshener, anything that sprays. What would happen to that can if it were thrown into a fire? So obviously the fire, the temperature would increase, so the gas molecules would be moving more. So the more the gas molecules are moving in this container, they're going to be hitting the sides of the container more, which make pressure go up. But thinking about it, this is just a sheet of metal. Eventually that metal cannot hold that much pressure and the metal is going to explode. There's going to be shards of metal. There's going to be a fire. You really wouldn't want to deal with that. So don't do that. It's very dangerous. But the pressure would increase too much. So again, that is a direct relationship. And those are the 3 gas laws we're discussing today. I hope you learned a lot, and there's a lot more that we haven't talked about, but maybe the example problems will put it into perspective how much the gas laws are in our everyday lives. Thanks for listening.